Look! It just came out! Look at that!
I love it!
And we are back for another exciting episode of After Hours. And who are we back with? The entire Whack Pack. We got the Brady Bunch here today. We got Richard Rodriguez joining us again. John Romano, Greg Valentino. Mr. G in his car, not in studio today because Tyler is on vacation. And we have the muscle chef, Carlo Filipponi of the Chicken Pound. And Carlo, I have to start the show up by saying I love your chicken meatballs. Woo! I eat them every night.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. They're new, they're exciting, and people are really enjoying them. So I'm so glad you love them.
I hate whenever I say this stuff on the show, Carla. Everyone else who's watching gets this like saliva running down their mouth, and it's like I got some food that they don't have. You got to send out. Some food
you always have the food we don't have.
They said it to me first.
Universally, you have the food we don't have. All the time, you have the food we don't have.
Well, I need an expert Jewish Italian opinion on meatballs. Right. Somebody will tell it to me straight, so I send them right to Dave, and he gives me the lowdown.
Because he's the combo. He's half Jewish and half.
That's right.
I can bridge you guys. 3 meatballs is 14 grams of protein. So I'm eating like meatballs, which is 45 grams of protein. That's great every night.
Yeah, and we've kept the fat to a minimum, and then it's rice flour as a binder in there rather than breadcrumbs. So they're soy-free, gluten-free. So your sons don't grow boobs, and your little girls don't grow boobs at 6 years old. So
my son takes them and pops them into his mouth. The whole thing at one time, he throws it in his mouth.
Yeah, they're like I love them. They're bite size, and I just think they heat well and they're convenient. So I'm glad you like them. Thank you.
It's almost embarrassing to say, but you can literally, John, put these things in the microwave oven for 2 minutes. And you could eat them right there. You don't have to do anything.
That's the best thing. That's what you want. Convenience like that, you know?
Yeah. You can throw in a pot of sauce if you want, but honestly, the bodybuilders are ordering them, and they're using them like as a cheat meal or off seasons because they still get enough protein. They're better than regular meatballs. There's no preservatives in them. It's literally eight ingredients. It's chicken, it's water, onion, garlic, dehydrated onion, and pepper. And rice flour and
no parsley.
Grape cheese. I'm sorry.
No parsley.
Parsley, yes.
There's
parsley.
Right, good.
Yeah.
The only thing is, there is some garlic and onion in there, so I do taste it, but it doesn't repeat on me later that night, so that's a good thing. So
yeah, there's definitely garlic and onion in there.
Now, do you use the chicken thigh meat, Carlo?
We use thigh meat, a little white meat, and then some fat too. Yeah.
There's not enough fat in the thighs?
I'm sorry?
There's not enough fat in the thighs?
No, there is. But when you add the actual fat, it just makes them a lot more tender, so they're not chewy and pasty. Right,
How many
Dave?
grams of fat in each one?
I'm sorry?
How many grams of fat in each one?
8 grams of fat.
And how much protein?
14.
John, that's per 3 meatballs, not 1 meatball.
Yeah, it's for 3 meatballs.
Okay.
That's pretty good, man.
Yeah, they're so convenient.
Those are great for kids.
Yeah,
great for kids. Put in sauce for kids.
Yeah,
mac and cheese. Dave, put it in your kids' mac and cheese.
If I put those things in sauce for like 6 hours, they would probably melt. They would probably be amazing, But I'm lazy. I cook it in 5 minutes. I got to cook everything. So this is perfect for me. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. Let's connect, man, later on, man, because I would love to try them out with my son.
Yeah,
thechickenpound.com. What's the RxMuscle coupon code?
By the end of the show, I'll have a coupon that's RX20 so that people can save 20% on their first order. How about that?
All right. Great.
All right.
Excellent. Carla, great job with those. Now,
thank you.
I wanted to bring up a topic that we lost another bodybuilder. Thank God not to a heart attack again, but Robert Rothrock, a lot of you might not know who he was. He won the 1990 Junior Nationals. I think it was in Louisiana that year. Was it? Greg, don't you remember? That's your era. You remember that?
I actually don't. I don't remember the Junior Nationals at all. The Rothrock now is it's ringing a bell. I'm digging through, the brain.
Shorter guy,
but
very
I don't
thick, right, Dave?
remember. I was at the that year, and I was at the one where Paul DeMeo beat Kevin Levrone.
That was the year. Yeah, that was after that. That was the actual matter. In fact, that was the following year.
And Lieberman actually was good. Yeah, that was 91. Maybe actually, it was Junior Nationals. What's that?
That 90 Lieberman was in that show because he told me. But can you hear me?
He looked fucking good. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Lieberman looked fucking good. He was in the top 5, I think.
Let me get this thing up here. Hold on. All right. Lieberman.
Anyway,
was in
so how did Rothrock die?
He had cancer.
90.
I'm going to get a guy on who knew him well, but I want to video for you guys first. Yeah.
Of what?
Oh. He was a freak, I'm telling you. When you see this,
I remember
short and thick.
Yeah.
Wow.
Super thick.
Supposedly, he literally. This was a different show. Obviously, this is another show. But I wanted to show some video of him. This was not the show he won.
Oh, fuck.
He had a lot.
I remember him. As soon as I saw his
Greg
face.
don't remember him.
Wow.
I'm surprised he didn't stay at Greg's house, John.
Are you surprised Greg didn't feed him spaghetti and meatballs?
Oh my god.
He's a classic poser too. Look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was
he
a
didn't turn his head.
Poser, John. Back in the day, everybody cared about their posing. You worked extensively.
But how tall?
It was an art, man. It was an art.
How tall is he? They just gave his height.
5'11". 5'11", 225.
I'm surprised Greg wasn't there. No, I wasn't. No, I wouldn't know Louisiana.
You went to all those shows back then, Greg, though.
I can't picture Greg going to shows.
He was like a promoter, John, too.
Yeah, I know I know that, but I can't just picture him.
Greg was a big icon. Yeah, Greg was. He was a renegade. He was the first one to start all this stuff.
The fact that he looked short. All of them. I don't remember him competing against them.
Think about that. He shows up at this show, 1990.
Greg was an assaul. Then he's
Lex
an asshole
Wheeler's there, who's expected to win.
I was
Paul
a
DeMeo there. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
DeMeo is there. You know, it's his first junior national. Yeah. Flex Wheeler's there. Flex winds up finishing second. DeMeo third. The following year in '91, you're talking about Greg. DeMeo wins and beats Kevin Levrone, and then 6, 8, 10 a week, 12 weeks later, they go to the Nationals and Levrone wins. You know,
Dean
correctly. I don't know if he was in that 90 junior nationals or not.
Was Dean Caputo in that lineup?
Yes, he was in 91. He was. Greg, you got a bad connection.
Terrible.
I'm gonna boot him.
Fuck.
Like I said, you think he'd reach under that desk and pull out some kind of
like a Wi-Fi
technology, you know? He's got everything in there.
All right, we're joined by Terry Nelson. Terry, flip your phone sideways if you can.
Gotcha.
Now, Terry, we were just talking about Robert.
Hey, check out this hat. I love it.
Hold on, George. Put the Uncle Sam on hold for a minute.
Yes.
Yeah, we got a guest here. Terry grew up with Robert Rothrock, right? I think you met him when you were 15 or something like that.
Yeah, I met him at a bodybuilding contest.
Tell us the story about how that happened.
Well, Don Smith of Crazy Wear fame.
We've had him on the show. Yeah.
He used to own a gym, Don's Health and Family Fitness. He put on a little bodybuilding contest every year in Macomb, Mississippi, and I entered it. I was prepubescent and ended up getting second place to some pretty notable guys. And then Robert, you know how those shows go. The teens go on first. I'm sitting with my parents, and I see this big thing, this big mammoth making his way around. He's tapping me. I don't know who he is, and he pulls me. How long have you been training? Are you really 15? I said, yes, sir. I've been training for 7 months. And he goes, oh, my God. He goes, you could be Mr. Olympia. It was just so freaking nice. Anyway, he guest posed, and I thought that would be the end of our relationship, but he took my parents' number down, got it from my parents. He would call periodically. He would check on me. I had a little Isuzu Impulse, and my mother wouldn't let me drive it to Jackson, which was about 60 miles where Robert lived. And Robert would come down to Tylertown, Mississippi, pick me up and drive me to Jackson so I could train in a real gym.
Oh, wow.
And that was Robert. He would call all the time. And he did that with dozens of bodybuilders. He was the kind, soft-spoken, just gorilla that you had ever seen. And that's really how we met, and our relationship has, spanned for about 39, almost 40 years now. It's, really, really sad. It's a big, big, big loss for us because he's really all we had.
Right. In Mississippi over there. Now, when he won that junior nationals, I mean, no one expected him to win that. No one I don't think even knew. He wasn't on anyone's radar at that point.
No.
What happened after that? Because no one really knows that name. It's like he beat Flex Wheeler and DeMeo and then kind of disappeared in a sense. Where was he? What was he doing?
Okay. Robert came home after that. Actually, Robert of late in 2007 went back with very little prep and placed in the top 4 at the Masters Nationals, but he was just a shell of his former self. Right. Robert trained really odd, Dave. He was a strange character. He did a lot of...
I think we're losing Terry.
Everybody's got a terrible connection.
Yeah.
What the hell?
It's this stream shit. That's what it is.
You sound great now. What happened?
Yeah. Oh, there it goes.
It's because I'm the last
Valentino's
guy to come.
Okay,
Robert. Then somebody else will come in and make me sound like shit.
Were very basic, and this is going somewhere. He would do like 8 sets of leg extensions, 8 sets of squats, and that was it. But Robert knew no warm him up. Robert, his squats, he would go down and just stay down with it and kind of.
We're losing him again.
This StreamYard shit sucks.
Yeah. I don't think it's StreamYard.
Yeah, Zoom is better.
I've got good Wi-Fi.
Zoom is way better. No, it is. Watch. If you hear me fine, I'm good. Somebody will knock me out, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna get bad.
Well, what happened to Robert when he got back? Robert was notorious. He walks in the gym. There's no 135, 225. Robert comes in the gym 315, and he unracks it, and he reps. He would do these reps, 10, whatever. If he could do 20, rack it, he'd go 405, 455. And that was like kind of his chest workout. It was really odd. But Robert was in the gym one day, and he unracks the weight. No one went up first set.
We get to the punchline.
Oh, yeah, he's right at the best part, too.
I know.
All right, he's got to start.
Gee, I was on the edge.
We lost again. He would get so he was in the gym one day, Terry.
It's bad.
I think it's his connection, actually, to be honest with you.
It is.
John, you and I are fine. Richard's fine. Carla's fine.
You got to be in the top row. That's
I don't think that.
Top row.
I can move him to the top row. There he is. He's in the top row now.
All right.
Yeah, you can still hear me, right?
Muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Terry.
Terry, you're muted.
That's the problem.
Yeah, he's muted.
Yeah.
Unmute your mic. Terry.
Your mic is muted.
All right, Dave. You're fired. You're fired from the job.
Not my fault. I'm not muting him. It's not me.
Am I fine now?
You're fine, Greg. You're still now, Greg. You're not really that good. You're delayed too.
Greg, David, you can unmute him if you're the host.
I can't. I know it tells me it's not my fault. It's his fault. I can see if it's my fault or his fault. He muted himself. He muted himself right out of existence when he did. Hey, Richard, let's talk to you. Let's talk to Richard for a minute. Richard, you wanted to bring up something about Mike Rashid. First of all, explain to our viewers who Mike Rashid. Well, let's hold. Terry just got back. We'll get back.
Got it.
Well,
hold on. Wait, Richard. Terry, you back?
Yes, sir.
All right. So he goes into the gym one day. What happens?
So what happened? Robert unracks the rack like he always does. Doesn't warm up. Begins benching, and he does his half reps. Finishes the set, racks it, and he says, "I'm having serious chest pain." Lays down, "I'm having terrible chest pain." Of course, they call the ambulance to Jackson Athletic Club. And Robert has severed his sternum in half. His pectoral muscles have separated his sternum
What?
into two pieces.
What?
Is that
So they
true?
had to sew the sternum back together, and he continued to train and even compete after that. Robert had a myriad of injuries like that, all levels of the spine, Ronnie Coleman-ish. If you see recent pictures of Robert, which I have a few I could share with you, Dave, you could tell there's a lot going on, spinally. I think he had 7 maybe spine surgeries.
Oh, wow.
So, that training method definitely took its toll on Robert.
Do you think it was because he didn't warm up and he just he would tear muscles and stuff like that?
Yeah, and just the way he trained was, more of just kind of pumping, sort of half reps. A lot of people in the gym attempted to copy Robert, of course, to their demise. He would do everything sort of like half reps like this and rack it with crazy amounts of weight. Just ridiculous.
Oh, really?
Jimmy Palacio. They should train together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to watch, John. It was really, really crazy.
I'll bet. Yeah.
So now what happened when he got cancer though at some point, didn't he?
Yeah, I just spoke with the family and I told them that I was coming on and they really didn't want to discuss it, but they did want to tell everybody, Robert was relatively famous, of course, Mississippi, Louisiana, the Gulf Coast.
Right.
I'll just go ahead and tell you guys. His funeral is going to be tomorrow at 10 a.m. in Brookhaven, Mississippi. Anybody that's in the area, I'm sure it will be packed. He was loved by everyone.
What did he do for a living? Was he still training people?
I don't know there at the end. I just spoke with some guys that trained with him, and they said they hadn't seen him in 4 or 5 months. And Robert was a very private guy.
Well, if he had cancer, I'm sure he was fighting a battle, right? I mean, at the last months of his life. So very sad.
Exactly. He was a proud guy. I don't think that they really, they want us to remember him as.
Yeah, I think we lost Terry again. Hey, we lost too many people, guys. Just too many guys recently. It's just very sad.
32 and 21.
Yeah.
There it goes.
Well, how old was Robert, Terry?
How did he die?
He died of cancer, George. I think I got to kick him. All right. Richard, let's go to you for a second here.
This could be one of the show.
Hey, Dave, what do you have? A heart attack?
Yeah, cancer.
I didn't hear.
George. Cancer.
Okay.
All right. Now, Richard, you wanted to bring up something about Mike Rashid. First of all, Mike Rashid was a pretty popular social media guy. Explain how you met Mike originally.
Well, Mike Rashid, when I was looking to launch my own gym, I was an avid follower of the hashtag Iron Addicts. I saw what CT Fletcher has done. I saw what Mike Rashid, Big Rob, the Strength Cartel, all the people that were associated with the Iron Addicts hashtag, what they've done from a branding perspective. However, they didn't do anything from a monetization standpoint of launching a gym, because let's face it, Iron Addicts Gym in California doesn't make money the way in which a real properly ran gym does. So I had the money to do it right. So CT didn't want to partake in the venture because he didn't want to be involved in Miami. So I brought in Mike. I knew about his history, about a has-been rapper, about being, it's like a wannabe personal trainer and all that stuff. However, I saw what he was doing from a social media perspective, and I wanted to bring him on. The relationship was always like unilateral, dude. It was from the standpoint where, for the amount of effort and the amount of investment that I was putting forth for Iron Addicts versus what he was asking for, I mean, like, the dude had horrible fucking credit. I'm putting him up in a fucking condo in the beach. This guy is like asking me for like women. I was like, he's asking me for like all this crap. And I'm like, dude, it's a gym. This is not like you're promoting, steroids. Steroids, yeah, I'll pay you $5,000 for your following because it's going to yield me 2% of your followers, and that's going to correlate to like $500,000 maybe the first month. This is a gym, but he didn't want to understand. Make a long story short, fast forward it to my case that earned me 8 months. He started backpedaling like a motherfucker, talking about like, oh, well, I never knew anything about this. I never knew about the illegal operations in the gym, blah, 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 and all that other stuff. Right. So first time I had access to a phone illegally on the in prison, I reached out to him like, yo, dude, what's up with the whole slandering and the bad mouthing, man? It's like, I thought we were brothers. I took care of you a lot. I brought you prostitutes. I brought you cars. I brought you pretty much everything you could possibly imagine. And you're fucking slandering me, man. That's not right. My wife reached out to you, man, and it's like you say that you have all this money, Mr. Philosopher, and all that other crap. It's like, what's up, bro? It's like, why you even hung up on my wife? And he's like, oh, well, nah, bro, I got to disassociate myself with you and all that other stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. Never, so past that. Fast forward 5 years later, I'm here building my presence again, my social media presence and all that other stuff. The dude sends me a fucking text message last fucking week. He's like, I would appreciate if you stop using my photos and my videos, on all your social media and all your posts. I'm like, listen, motherfucker. If that's the only time in which you're going to invest seconds to reach out to somebody that practically fucking made you and who you are right now, don't even invest those seconds into sending me a message, you fucking ungrateful piece of shit. And on top of that, if you do not want me to expose you for the womanizing, child molesting, underage fucking molesting person.
Don't make accusations. You can't back
no
up.
accusations.
100%. He's like, there's like 100%. If you don't want me to to really expose you for the true person that you really are, that I'll be more than happy to expose, dude. It's like, I personally think that as a professional, let us get on a phone call, let us get on a video, let's hash out our differences and do it for your fans and do it for the people that, that follow the industry, because you're so-called Mr. Philosopher, dude. You're so-called Mr. Positivity and all that stuff, but you are fake, you're ungrateful, and you leech onto people and just use them practically for their resources until they're no longer viable. You're practically promoting a plant-based fucking protein, and I've seen you with my own fucking eyes and got videos of you eating more fucking steak than a bull, dude. It's like, don't be a hypocrite, bro. Like, this industry is just full of freaking hypocrites. Do it for your followers. I could show him a slew of messages from people saying, hey, I unsubbed him because of all his lies, bro. His lies is worse than actually Michael Hearn saying that he's a natty, bro. In all honesty. And when you think about that, and you think and you see what he has done to me, bro, and what he has done to other people, not just me, to women in the industry that he has dated, to of utilizing them as a he was practically like a pimp telling girls, it's like, hey, hang out with me, date me, and all that stuff. I'll build your social media profile and all that other stuff, and then scrap them. When he was tired of those women, he would literally scrap them.
Right, but were they dating him because they thought they were going to be popular too? I mean, so were they using each other?
No, incorrectly, bro. Incorrectly. This dude was like an R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein type of person, messed up all in one, bro. He would pimp these women and give them a false story, to the standpoint when they were no longer a benefit to him, dude. He would dump them, and it's sad. And look, I want to move past this whole situation.
Did he make you money though? Because he was obviously he was kind of like the face of your gym there, wasn't he?
Yeah, but you got to look at it this way. The amount of money, did he help me get budget positive sooner rather than later? Absolutely. But look at it from the standpoint of how much money I put in.
How much were you paying him?
Yeah, I was paying him collectively with his contract of WFN and his contract as partner with Iron Addicts. He was easily the highest paid person, probably on average, paying his apartment, paying his car, and all that stuff, easily about $15,000 a month. Wow. Easily.
Greg, you'd blow him for that, right, Greg? Oh, Greg.
Dude, I'd blow him. I'd fucking bend over, whatever you want. I'll walk around my finger through your belt loop.
Your microphone is not working, Greg. That's the problem.
Did he hear me? No.
Yeah, now we hear you.
All right.
We heard like half of what you said, yeah.
Well, knowing Greg, I know what he would do practically for $1.
Yeah. It seems like Richard, though, you
can you hear me now?
And John, you could maybe chime in on this. Richard had this like dream situation there where he was making crazy amount of money, and he was basically able to give these guys so much money to get them to help him promote what he was doing. And a lot of these guys might not have been, solid guys in the sense that, hey, they saw a big paycheck, they went after it, and then when the money dried up, they went on to the next thing. I mean, does that sound right?
What I think is this, because it wasn't just Rashid, it wasn't just Flex. It was, I think Richard had a run of unfortunate experiences with known people. And what I think, and this is purely speculation, Richard, what I think is they were looking at what Richard was doing. Right. It's like I'm going to rob the drug dealer. What's he going to do? Call the cops? You know, I mean, so it's kind of like that attitude. They know what he's doing. They understand the ramifications and the implications if it gets out, and they figure I got him over a barrel. I'm going to take the money. I'm not going to do shit because who's he going to complain to?
Right.
You know?
That's exactly what I think happened. I think so. I think
That's a valid point. That's a valid point. That's a valid point, and very few people evolved from that. That were genuine. Because look, I'm the type of person, dude. I was like, I don't care if you're milking me for something,
right?
You know, but at least at least make your ulterior motives transparent. You know, it's like I have no problem telling somebody, it's like, hey man, or like especially like certain women, I'm like, hey man, I just want to fuck you, man. I don't want to have a relationship with you. You know, so I'll pay you $1,000 after we're done and then leave me alone. I'm transparent, dude. I've always been that way. So like what frustrated me with a lot of people, specifically like Mike Rashid, Flex Wheeler, certain individuals. Is that they went into the public, which they didn't have to do. You didn't see LeBron, you didn't see a lot of the other athletes go into the public saying, "Oh no, well I was bamboozled." No, they literally went in there saying I was bamboozled.
Yeah, because they wanted to like they didn't want to get arrested. That's why they knew what they were doing was wrong, but they were so greedy for the money because you didn't just like say here's $500. You were throwing big amounts of money at people and look. It's hard to say no to a large amounts of money. I mean, let's face it. And so when they knew, look, everyone knew it was going to come to an end, including you at some point. And when it did, these guys were like, we didn't know. Meanwhile, they knew exactly what was going on.
Oh,
right?
They absolutely knew.
You know what's even crazier is that what's even crazier is this. Not only did they lie that they didn't even know, it's because I actually seen this because I've had a cell phone with me in prison. Right. Individuals like Mark Lobliner, Sean Ray, and all these fools like Mike Rashid, videos of them publicly endorsing WFN. They try to do copyright claims to my damn YouTube. Yeah, like I can show you screens copyright claims saying, hey, you know what? That's a fraudulent. You know, it's like that's a fraudulent video. They took them down from their YouTube channels, and I was like, wow, man, it's like this. Like y'all really trying to cover your asses. But at the end of the day. Like, you know, Greg said it best. You said it. John Romano said it. It's like, look, at the end of the day, they don't give a shit about personal users. They don't give a shit about that. Unless you're like an athlete, like an NFL, Major League Baseball, somewhere where there's severe repercussions, i.e. suspensions, fines. They don't give a shit about you.
Right.
And that's the reasons why I didn't cooperate. It's not because of the bodybuilders and the powerlifters and all that stuff. It's because of the other 43,000 clients, the NFL people, the Major League Baseball, the UFC people, that I could have literally ruined their fucking lives. I don't bite that hand that feeds me. Right. That 100%. That 100%, it has a valid reason of getting into the public and be like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Right, but you know what? If Richard, let's say I was stupid enough to, let's say you had, thank God you didn't contact me. I told you this because it would have been very hard to turn down your money because you pay a lot. If you would have said, hey, Dave, I'll give you 15 grand a month to run ads on RxMuscle, you know, if I would have taken the ads because I wanted the money, when you got in trouble, they're going to come to me and they're going to subpoena everything that's on my website, and they're going to threaten me and say, "Well, you're promoting his stuff, so you're part of the conspiracy." So I'm screwed in a sense.
Let me throw this in there because I am one who turned down money because I was in Mexico. I had my lab running in Mexico, and Richard and I were talking about me doing production for him.
Right.
Okay. And bringing it here in the States, which is no. Man, the amount of money he offered that I could have made with the amount of production I could have done if I was, bro, I wouldn't.
How much
right now?
What'd you turn down?
Well, just look at it.
You wanted me to make the original deal was for 2,000 bottles a week.
Oh my God, that's a lot.
Well, look at it this way: if I was averaging, when John Romano came on board to write for me, I was at about $35,000 in sales a day.
Yeah.
So if I was to, you know, if he would have taken,
it was 50.
50 was towards the end. Yeah, when all the SEO, social media, and all the things that I was doing on the back end started kicking in, that's when I started doing a huge on average. But when you first came in first as the writer, I wasn't up there. Yeah, but towards the latter part, like the last year, that's when I was at about, you know, like 45 to 50,000 a day.
He paid me very well for my writing, though. Absolutely
Well, that's what I'm saying. He took care of everyone, so you really no one should be complaining whatsoever about anything. And that's why Richard's upset. I could understand that because he overcompensated people really.
Oh, the media would have loved that.
Yeah,
the media would have loved that.
Yeah, they would.
Think about it, Greg. Though what was your biggest days when you were selling just on the street? I mean, you couldn't reach half the audience, a fraction of the audience that Richard met online. You know. No, his connection's terrible.
Yeah.
We can't hear
have
him.
a connection.
I gotta kick him. We can't hear you, Greg. Your microphone is not on, Greg. I think he's using the wrong microphone. Is what
I think he's using the wrong program.
No, you know what it is? He's on the right program, but I think he's picked the wrong microphone. You got to go into the settings and pick the right microphone for the show, but he's not doing that. Yeah,
because I had that problem in the beginning too.
Yeah,
he needs a tech to do that.
You know, it's a crazy thing out there. You know that people get involved in things and they know what they're doing risk wise, and then when the shit hits the fan, some guys, you know, prove to be, you know, solid guys, and some guys will, you know, sing like, you know, a canary.
Like Whitney Houston. Like Whitney Houston.
Exactly. And
what I don't understand about this whole thing is that, you know, on the one hand, Richard says all of these 43,000 people, you know who I could ruin their whole careers, and, you know, I don't bite the hand that feeds me. Correct. How did it come up that certain of these people, certain wrestlers, Wahlberg,
where'd they get the names?
Why those guys? What actually transpired by them to cause you to go after them?
It's very simple. When I saw my indictment in my docket sheet, aside from being surprised that my brother and my best friend of 22 years corroborated against me, I started seeing names of athletes that I really took care of. If you think $5,000,
back up. You mean they proffered? They gave proffers. They were.
Right. It's called tried and true statements. Where tried and true statements is where a federal prosecutor would interview each and every single person that, if the individual is considering going to trial, will be willing to take the stand and say, yes, I know him. He has done this. This is how he distributes it. This is how he has helped me beat tests. So they're willing, to testify.
So did they give actual affidavits and they were proffered?
Exactly. So because in order for you to exactly.
Wait. You saw their proffers in your documents.
Exactly. So
my question is why them?
Why my name's high profile, John.
But he had a lot of high profile.
He's not even about that, Dave, because there was many more. There were many more there. It was
tons of high profile people.
Yeah,
right. But some people probably said, talk to my lawyer. Other people probably got scared and said, well, I'll cooperate because I don't want to get it prosecuted. You know,
no, for me, but to answer John Romano's question is that I chose particular individuals, and is because of the amount of effort, time, and dedication that I focused on those individuals, not charging them, not practically giving them free product, helping them in so many ways from a financial perspective, in hopes of introducing me or bringing me into the industry and expanding into the industry. So I had my ulterior motive. However, when I saw the amount of effort and the amount of dedication, the amount of money that I've provided to these people in comparison to the others, I was like, I was hurt, man. I was hurt.
I understand that, but did the feds choose them out of your client list and go after them? Is that?
I'll tell you exactly what happened. Out of the 9 charges that I was looking at, the only one I copped out to, if you look at my plea, is marketing of a controlled substance. because that's what they had me dead to right, dude. They hacked my freaking social media. They went down the list of every single person and all the instant messages and seeing all me talking to each and every single one of them. Was like, hey, your order will arrive in so and so time. Blah blah blah. This is how to take it. This is where I would be in that shoot. I would be in that it's like I would be in backstage. Blah 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 and all that other stuff. So that's the only thing that I copped out to, because when I saw the proof, I was like, shit, I can't debate that. So when I saw that, and when I saw all like the slew of messages and all that other stuff, I was like, that's when I negotiated. Obviously, it's like, okay, let's figure out if we can get the money laundering and all that crap out of the way, and in some form of way, and let me cop out to this. So when I started seeing the messages of these individuals, their proffers and all that other stuff, I'm like, fuck, man. It's like, it's like, it hurts, bro. And it's like, and Jerry Ward said it best, in his message that he wrote to me, saying, it's like, yo, Rich, you were a nice guy in an industry expecting the people that you were compensating, they were to be loyal to you and treat you like family, like you were treating them. And you know what? That was my bitterness. And till this day, I still have some of that bitterness to some people. And that's hence the reason why I'm even talking about Mike Rashid today about it, because I try to move forward. I try to move
hold on, let me ask you a question, Richard. What was the most outrageous thing you bought Mike Rashid, like that you gave to him, like that was like, holy shit, this guy's out of his mind?
I bought him a condo in 57th Street in Collins, in the May condominiums. It was about $230,000. I made the deposit for that condo.
Wow.
And I purchased him a $213,000 SLS Black Edition, the one in which he was rocking in a lot of his videos. So
you gave that to him as a gift? Those were gifted to him?
Yeah, you saw the screenshot of him having horrible credit. I had to end up like being the person to
hold on. Let me ask you a question. Why did you give him that's almost overdoing. Did you feel like you guys were that close, like friendship wise, that you wanted to just help him out?
Let's face it, dude. I'm a businessman. So there was no way in fucking hell, like, I would give anybody that if I'm not making any money in return. I mean, his social media following was unheard of from a conversion ratio. I mean, look at Flex Wheeler having a certain amount of followers. I was lucky to crack 0.5 or 1% of his followers into clients. Whereas like Mike Rashid, I was at about a 5 to 7% ratio.
Oh, really? So you're making a lot of money from him, in other words.
That's like 3 times the norm, dude, in social media marketing conversions. 3 times the norm. Yeah, it got to a point where the ends didn't justify the means, hence the reasons why I was weaning him out from the exorbitant amounts of payments that I was giving him. But in the beginning, he made me a lot a money, man. He made me a lot of money.
But it seems like you took very good care of him too. So I mean,
very generous. Very generous.
Of course. I mean, people like, it's just like like keeping John Romano on for writing, because everybody was congratulating us on the great content. Dude, I have no problem in paying somebody well, and I've done, and it's a methodology I've learned even when I was a director in the corporate world. I have no problem in compensating somebody very, very well if he or she delivers. Like, because I've been in sales. At the end of the day, you're only as good as your last sale. That's one of the things in which I learned in sales. So if you consistently delivering and if you consistently are providing value, rest assured I'm gonna break my fucking back to keep you on board, bro.
Right. Well, sounds interesting. I think the problem was the whole thing was predicated on an illegal activity that was going on. So eventually it was going to crash down and fall into the gutter. So that's what happened.
Well, it was pretty ballsy, though, I gotta say.
Yeah, you had some balls.
Out of all the capers I've seen perpetrated over the years, Richard had the biggest balls out of all of them, man, because he was right out in front of. He was doing the most illegal thing in front of everybody. It was like, no problem.
It's a miracle it lasted that long.
I'm shocked. I am shocked that it did.
You know what's crazy? It's crazy. You know what's crazy is that when when the Miami New Times did the article on me, they said that 6 months prior to the arrest, I still did not have any inquiries with the feds, nothing. Like if it wasn't for the fact that they grabbed my brother and my best friend of 22 years, I would have probably still been operational now. I would have been long gone though, but I would.
Right.
Yeah.
If you had gotten we could debate that. If you had gotten out and just, although you never would have stopped because the money was just too much. If you had gotten out, it would have been a great story that you could have written down the road, about how you made all this money and then parlayed it into something completely legitimate and got away with it. Because how many people get away with it?
That's what he was doing.
But the problem is he waited.
He just ran out of time.
Everyone runs out of time. These fans get you all the time.
It's like I told you guys. Literally 4 months prior to being incarcerated, I already had Mike Rashid, Ric Flair about to be signed up. I had Kevin Levrone promoting the Hormone Club. So I which was the succession plan, and the gym was fucking thriving. I had plans with Mike Rashid opening up 3 more. So it's like everything was in place. However, like the succession plan didn't happen fast enough. That's all.
There's a guy along, and I won't mention any names, of course. And I know he sold drugs, back in the day, like cocaine and stuff like that. He saved every dime he made. He would sleep in it. It would be in his mattress when he would sleep at night. And then he just stopped one day, took all the money, opened up a bunch of gyms on Long Island and was very legitimately successful. And never stopped working his regular job, this guy. And he's the only guy I know who've ever done that and didn't get caught, didn't go to jail, and just was able to stop and say, you know what, I made enough money. I'm going to take it and build something with it.
One of the biggest mistakes these guys make is quitting their day job.
Yes, too. Yeah, you're right. Red flags, right? All over the place.
Absolutely. What is this guy doing with his feet up at 11:30 in the morning? And that will start the chain rolling. I'm telling you, right there.
Right.
Yeah, that's how you get the eyes. It's funny you said that, John, because I remember the first 3 years, even when I was averaging about $5,000 to $10,000 in sales a day, I was still driving a $99 a month Beetle, and sometimes I didn't even clean the shit. And dude, I was never getting any eyes. I would go to the gym. People would be like, "Excuse me, sir, can you get it? Can you give me your ID?" I'm like, "Fuck you."
You never get out. You never get out.
Yeah,
Rich, if you would have kept it there at $10,000 a day, you may have still
You
been
can't
operating.
get out.
Making
Not
a
that
bunch of
easy.
money on the side.
100%, 100%. I think for me, what really fucked me up was the fact where I just started going crazy with fucking cars. I started rapping a McLaren P1 with like Iron Addicts all over and all this other shit. Having every hot chick in fitness posing next to it, and it was.
You were intoxicated with the money. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah. Those were the real red flags. Not staying home at 11. Those are the real red flags when you start flaunting, right? Even on a local level, right? There's people here. I'm in Jersey, so these guys, as soon as they start making a few bucks, and they go from making $50,000 a year at an odd job to all of a sudden buying Cadillac Escalades for $200,000, and the government's kind of like, where'd you get that from on a $50,000 salary that you quit 2 years ago? So
even in our supplement industry, when I see guys starting to buy the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris, I start saying, "Oh, they're doing something fucking illegal." You know why? Because
they're not going to be around much longer.
The problem is that people don't understand. You could sell a lot of nutritional supplements, even legally, but you have bills to pay. You have taxes to pay. You have employees to pay. There's not that much extra, okay? Unless you're selling something that no one else has got because there's something questionably legal about it. And that's just the way. I mean, look what happened to Aaron and PJ. I mean,
and you know what, Dave? The margins in supplements are pretty good compared to other industries.
Well, we're getting killed in the food business. My margins are ridiculous, and that's why we're adding a bunch of line extensions. If I could just be honest with you, chicken breast has been. I mean, at over 100,000 pounds a month in chicken purchased, I was paying $4 a pound up until about a week and a half ago.
Really, that much?
Yes, raw. The industry has gotten demolished.
Oh, well, there's a new bird flu going.
There was a bird flu. A Purdue plant burnt down, which put pressure and stress on a lot of other manufacturers and farms. And of course, the labor shortages are affecting everybody. The gas prices are affecting everybody. It's been insane. So people look at our industry like, oh, chicken breast is $2 a pound. First of all, if you're getting it for $2 a pound right now in the supermarket, it's because it's a loss leader. They'll sell the chicken breast at a loss to get you in the store to sell you something else. So our margins are ridiculously low and slim in the food business. And then, of course, the way we do it, where we go direct to consumer, you have to pack it in a recyclable box with recyclable stuffing, the dry ice, the marketing and all that other stuff. But you're right, John. The margins in supplement industry, Dave, you know better, are not bad. They're not bad at all. It's just a matter of what you're going to do with
They've
the money.
gotten very bad recently, though. I'll tell you that whey protein prices are through the roof now.
Yeah,
creatine, it doesn't even pay to even carry creatine anymore because
if you can even get it.
Yeah,
it's
for all the same reasons that I just mentioned.
10 times the cost, John.
Yeah,
it's so true that you say that, because one of the things in which I am trying to procure is my own supplement line, and it's like I've been looking at.
Bad time to do it, Richard.
Don't do it.
Yeah, it's horrible. Like the price points. I mean, I've secured my partnership now with the concierge base and HRT company that I'm gonna be partnering up with. So that's secure.
HRT is the way to go.
That's secure. So I'm gonna start promoting that sometime next week. Once the deal is signed. But as far as like the supplement line, man, it's just fucking like the sourcing of the materials. I looked at on demand. I looked at even bringing it into silent investors or doing our own fulfillment and manufacturing. I was just like, man, it's just like the margins are no longer there as it was before.
Right. You see, what you needed to do, Richard, was when you were making all that money, instead of bringing Flex Wheeler on and Mike Rashid, you should have paid off some government officials and see if they could have legalized this shit. That would have been a much better methodology on your part.
Well, let's just say this. I had the way in which I was getting some of these athletes to pass their tests is because I had people inside of these government agencies like USADA and WADA telling me what they're going to be tested for.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the strategies that I was using to help these people pass their test should have been a strategy that I should have used to pay lobbyists, or individuals. You see, I'm crazy because I've worked with so many pharmaceutical companies when I worked at McKinsey, and that's the reasons why people in Pfizer, GSK, with all these products, right, weren't getting fucking arrested because they were spending millions a month just in lobbyists. However, I was making money, but I wasn't making Pfizer money to the standpoint where that could have afforded me the right lobbyists that would have kept me out of prison.
What would the I forgot what I was going to ask him now. So what were some of the compounds that they didn't test for that you could use at that point in time, at least?
Well, it's not really the compounds that they were or were not tested for. It was about knowing what they were going to be tested for in order for you to have sufficient time to develop the right masking agents for them to be rendered negative. It's just like, give you an example, like with the whole Lance Armstrong situation, where he figured out a way to circumvent the testing to the standpoint where the hematocrit levels wouldn't show, but all his athletes were taking an obscene amount of EPO. So if I would have a week, or if I would, or a few days to go to Arizona and talk and speak and work with my chemist, specifically for a particular athlete, and he would pay me $20,000 to $30,000 to make sure that he gets tested negative. That's incentives for me to stop what the fuck I'm doing, go to fucking Arizona, make the right compound, collect, have the collective brains there working and formulating something that, who cares if I just sell it once? I made $20,000, $30,000 in one fucking day. That's
crazy. I mean, like what compounds were there that were undetectable at the time that you were having made in Arizona?
Man, sometimes it was as simple as sometimes it was as simple as just developing, a compound of fucking sugar to render a particular testosterone product to be fucking negative. Like the ingredients and the excipients were so simple. Like I don't want to reveal it because it kind of like gives a person like a recipe or a cheat sheet. But let's just say that for every compound, there's an agent or an excipient that can mask it. It's just a matter of, Victor Conti did it. Tony Bosch did it. To their athletes, and they did it very fucking well. But you know what? It's like it was just about having the right chemist and understanding.
Right, but Conti was getting Patrick Arnold's stuff that he was making that they didn't even know it never existed, so they didn't have a basic control. So when they ran it through the HPLC machine, they didn't see the metabolites because they weren't looking for those metabolites. Were you guys making new compounds that didn't have metabolites that they knew about? Is that how it worked?
No, the way that we worked, we didn't see that as a market. What we would do is like our plugs on the inside would say, "Hey, Joe Schmo is going to be tested X day. This is the markers that we're going to be testing him for." So it would give us ample time to research. It's like, okay, if he's going to be tested for hematocrit levels, let's see what kind of compounds or excipients we can formulate within, amongst ourselves that could render it negative. And then what we would do is like we would take a couple of guinea pigs, infuse them with with EPO, and say it's like, okay, now take this, and then we're gonna test you to see if your increased hematocrit levels would show. So we would test it on ourselves and some of the people that I would work with before, obviously charging a ridiculous amount of money.
I made 136,000 in one. What is that? 1 week?
1 day.
1 day. Yeah, but that was only 1 day out of the whole year. He's mute now, John. He's going to be doing sign language pretty soon.
And it's killing him too, because
you better off
one day
call you on the cell and put the cell down, Dave.
Yeah, I don't know why he can't get his microphone.
I made a lot, not as much as him, but pretty close. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Okay, now I can hear you.
Yeah, but it goes on and off, man.
He was making that every single day, though, Greg, not just 1 day out of the year. Isn't it like
goddamn close?
Yeah,
what?
Pretty close. Pretty close. So, where do you guys think, John? You're like the voice of reason. Yes, kind of. We can hear you, but not really.
Every
something wrong with your microphone. John, where do you see this industry going now with the elevated price of food, supplements? I mean, are people just going to have to get used to paying more, or do you think that are we heading for a crash?
Oh, crash is coming.
And a whole bunch of OnlyFans accounts, and a whole bunch of new OnlyFans accounts.
But
you see Larry Wheels with an OnlyFans account. You see all these people. They're like, shit.
Larry Wheels has one now.
Yeah, man. It's like it's been publicized on YouTube. It's been publicized on YouTube. That he has I don't fucking know. I'm not subscribing to his OnlyFans account, so I don't know what the fucking content that he has there. But
let's buy Greg a subscription so we can go find out what Larry Wheels is doing on it. I think what's happening is these guys have these unsustainable business models, and they were just escalating, and then what happens is it kind of levels off. Everyone's channel, even on YouTube, will level off, and then they can't make more money. And then so what ultimately happens is they start doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing on the side to make extra money, because they become intoxicated with the money coming in at a higher rate.
With the lifestyle, 100%.
Yes.
Sure.
I mean, Larry's living in Dubai, traveling all over the world, taking videos from everywhere. I mean, so that's expensive. It's not cheap to live in a hotel, wherever he's living. I don't know where. I'm assuming he's in a hotel. Yeah. Adds up, if you're not making it steady type of money. So Richard, do you think a lot of these high profile people that we see on social media are overspending maybe to try to create a perception that they're like these big wheels, so to speak?
I don't think so. I know so. Just given the fact of when I was in existence. I mean, when I was in existence, Mike Rashid, falsely portrayed like he had it going and he was living in my houses. He was living, he was utilizing my cars. Mm-hmm. I still see it till this day with some close people that I even work with still. And I'm not gonna name names because we are in good terms. However, I still see I still see it with Mike. I mean, he I'm working I've been talking to Generation Iron. I've been talking to a few different people, and the thing is that the world is very, very small. When you're trying to develop a documentary or film or book deals and all that stuff, typically some individuals at that same level that have a pretty comparable story are probably interacting and negotiating with those same type of people. So, when they ask me, it's like, hey, what do you know about Mike Rashid? We're considering him for blah, 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 and all that other stuff. And it's like he's telling me that he's making X amount of money, his supplement line, ambrosia, and all that other stuff. And me knowing the industry and knowing the margins and all that stuff, and I was like, knowing how he's living, I was like, there's no way in hell he's netting $2 million a month. Right, he was getting $2 million a month, like he's telling you he is, because he wants you to finance his documentary. Hell, I would finance it right now if I'm making $2 million a month. So they do it with a lot of people. I mean, and some of those people, just to kind of give you an idea, like a Greg Douchette, or some of those individuals, they get so much endorsements, they get so much views into their channels that sometimes it's as simple as a dealership, or it's as simple as some type of organization to be like, hey, you know what? Let me lend you this Lamborghini. Let me lend you this condo in exchange. Film in there in exchange. It's like utilize this car in all your videos. And when one person, just one person locally tells you, hey man, where you got that ride? Oh, I got it in so and so dealership. Boom, they made their money.
Right.
They made their money, like 9 ways to Sunday, very, very easily. I did that shit with my jewelry. I did that shit with my cars. I did that shit with my apartments. And I even used to do that with the photographers, all the top photographers that used to film and videograph all the hottest chicks in fitness. I would tell them, I was like, yo, dude, I'll give you $10,000 a month on the one prerequisite. And they're like, what? I want all the hot chicks, all the fucking physiques, all the bodybuilders that you film, first be filmed in Iron Addicts in Miami. However, you know what? In exchange for that, you are guaranteed the amount of money wherever fucking show I want you in, guaranteed flights, guaranteed first class fucking accommodations. However, I have the rights of distribution for those photos too. You think they give a shit? I could have a fucking picture of Fabiola Martinez of physique marketing a boner pill for all I give a shit. I paid for it.
Influencer marketing is the way to go, 1,000,000%. You can get a handful of influencers on board and your brand will just skyrocket. We're in the middle of negotiating with two very high profile individuals in different sports, one in bodybuilding, one in MMA. I can't say their names right now because it's not finalized, but we're very close. And I believe they'll change the direction of the company. Not that we're not heading in the right direction,
however,
but I know that our followers will just increase 2, 3, 4-fold.
Carlo, I would like to give you some insight, and we could talk about this off topic. I'm talking to a guy that used to spend $60,000 a month on influencers. A month. And Romano could tell you. And at the end, when I was making my most money, about $50,000 in sales a day, tell me how many influencers I had in payroll. One. I went from 12 to 1. So it's
one difference. You were doing something illegal. I know.
Yeah, that's true.
But this is the thing, especially for your industry, because I did it in
people are lazy. That's what he's trying to say. A lot of times you don't get your money's worth out of paying these people because they'll post for the first week and then they just collect the check after that.
Richard, I hear you 1,000,000%. I've walked down that road with some other influencers, but with these in particular, they're contracted out. There's agents and attorneys involved. If they don't do it, the contract is terminated immediately. I'm not, I've been around a little bit myself. So, and trust me, it's not going to be a $50,000 a month budget. So
it's scary though, Carlo, because you're throwing money at these guys,
Oh, Dave, listen, I had a previous company, so I know. I know what these guys cost and what they think they're worth. And Richard, you're 1,000,000% correct. They think that by grabbing their phone, throwing up a post, their job is done. It's not that easy. So I have parameters in place with minimums and expectations. So, there'll be things in there. I can tell you, listen, we have, I think, one of the fastest growing food brands on social, on Instagram, and we're growing very, very quickly. I get contacted every single day by at least a dozen IFBB pros. Hey, I want to promote this, and hey, I want to promote that, and MMA fighters, including the UFC and Bellator.
Sure.
And we just look at them and we put them on a list, and we're like, okay, let's keep an eye on these people. That's it. But we never start a relationship with money. It's always a product-based and with contingencies on posts in order for you to receive your product. Because if you don't post like we ask you to, the very next month, you're not receiving product. It's simple. It's over. Right. And I have somebody watching that very, very careful.
You're making me nervous.
Yeah. Take his home today.
He's salivating. He's salivating.
No, I don't want it to go bad. Put it in the freezer. I'm just kidding. But you know what? It is. This is an interesting topic you bring up because, and John, you've worked for multiple companies too. You give people, you think you get this bikini girl. She's got 6 million followers, and you think, all right, this girl could sell a fat burner. And you know what? It's all fucking guys just oogling at her fucking ass cheeks, and she has no sales capability whatsoever. She's just got a lot of followers who want to look at her ass, and so you have to really evaluate who you're, bringing on board to who's going to help you potentially sell product. I mean, right?
And it's funny that Carlos said it right. You see, one of the reasons why I was really efficient in weeding out the athletes is because I followed analytics. I looked at the conversion ratios of their coupon codes, their activity, their participation, and all that stuff. And that's a full fucking time job. And it got to the point where people like Sean Ray, I would fire in a month. It's like, people like Flex Wheeler.
I'm surprised you even hired Sean Ray, but
Sean Ray, it was purely a power play. He was a presenter for all the top major shows like Arnold Classics and Olympia and all that other stuff. So it was purely a power play. I was like, look, I don't even want you to fucking promote my company, Sean Ray. However, I want to be in backstage in every fucking show that you're in. And he's like, all right, cool. So within a week time, I give him $5,000. And the following week, I'm in Ohio. I'm in backstage at the Arnold Classics.
That's Sean, and God bless him. I've never really had a direct problem with him, but has anybody thrown their name around more in this industry ever than
He
Sean
got
Ray?
more money out of people. It's amazing.
I watched
They're
this
doing
guy
very
land in
little.
Hawaii,
Extracting.
and he's got people clapping that he's getting there. And I'm going, dude, you haven't been relevant in the industry in 30 years. You've never actually won the highest title in the world. And how do you get these people to believe that you're such a
got
big
a
deal?
good line of bullshit, and you know what? He's not he knows how to market himself, and that's his best.
Yeah, but he puts a value on his name that is just absolutely absurd and ridiculous.
People pay him, Carlo. That's the
thing.
What
though? There's a saying in business: no one in life is smart enough to cover their bullshit forever. I personally think people like Sean Ray, people like Mike Rashid, people like Flex Wheeler, and all that other stuff. It gets to them. It's already getting to these people. And that's why, and that's the reason why, when a person was going to ask me, was like, hey, were you engaging in illegal activity? Absolutely. Is it a possibility that you're going to get arrested? Absolutely. Why? Because I am not smart enough to cover my bullshit forever. So I'm just not going to fucking lie. And I was like, yeah, I was engaging in illegal activity. Yeah, I did this. Am I going to get caught? Absolutely. When? I don't fucking know. However, you know what? I'm going to milk this track, I'm going to milk this as much as I possibly can, learn from it. And now just the strategic alliances in which I'm building, thanks to you, Dave, on a lot of things. And the people that are calling me in, I've at least have the corporate business acumen, real entrepreneurship experience from these two businesses that I've launched that became gigantic in the gym and in the HRT business that will enable me to if it's a supplement, if it's an apparel, if it's a food, if it's any type of particular product, understand what enabled me to be successful and easily replicate that into those partnerships.
But Richard, that all your resume with just the experience from McKinsey alone will carry you to any position you want to. The street experience that you have and what you've done on your own is separate and far apart. Before you ever got involved in any of that, if you would have just went along on your resume with your experience with McKinsey, that in and of itself would have catapulted you to any top company in the world.
100%. And I was in a path of doing that. The only situation was that my ex-wife wanted to live in Miami. Yeah. And I was living in New York. I was making over $200,000 a year, just myself in New York. But in Miami, there aren't those corporate companies. I interviewed with Burger King. I had job offers from Burger King. I had job offers from Oracle, from Citrix Systems, even from BlackBerry when they existed and were relevant. I had offers from all of them. However, when you're accustomed to making $200,000 a year in New York, and now you're doing a VP position in Miami for $40,000, $50,000, same job, same responsibilities. There's no way in hell I'm going to take those jobs.
My experience is that, you know what? You're better off using your talents and doing it slowly. As long as you're making money and you're increasing your sales and you're increasing your business on a steady, incremental way, why try to hit the home run out of the ballpark? You don't have to. Just build it slowly because it's more sustainable that way. Because once you throw smoke and mirrors at everything, those smoke and mirrors, like you said, Richard, can come crashing down. Eventually, people are going to see behind them and they're going to see that there's no substance behind it. And you're going to go from making a lot of money to making zero. And you could lose it all very quickly. I mean,
I think the organic growth, Dave, is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
When you grow a company organically, it's like everything else. You build relationships and you build the foundation. The foundation will always be solid. So if something comes your way, you're kind of able to just push it aside and keep it rolling. If things fall apart when you've taken all this money and thrown it at somebody and that person is no longer there, you don't have the foundation to begin with. So it just crumbles. The whole operation crumbles. So.
Yeah, I mean, and I tell people this all the time. I mean, I built Species Nutrition starting in 2000. I think it was 7 or 8, and it's been around for years. And I've steadily grown the thing and made money. And I'm not making $100 million a year. I'm not even making $50 million a year. But I'm doing well enough to live a really comfortable, really nice lifestyle from it. And that's enough for me. I mean, do I want to make a lot of crazy? Yeah, but I don't want to do anything that I'm going to have to like roll the dice and then at night not be able to sleep at night because I'm thinking, holy mackerel, I just threw 50 grand at this project and it's probably going to be lost, you know? And then I think about what I could have done with that 50 grand. So, you know, you got to assess, you know, do you want to live with stress, you know, or do you want to have a steady, you know, a steady amount of income coming in? And I think that's, at the end of the day, that's really what, you know, business is all about. It's about making yourself, building something that you can do on a regular basis that you enjoy and get paid from it, you know, and that there's substance there. You don't have to worry about, are people going to find out that my products suck and that they're not going to buy them tomorrow? And then I'm going to go from making all this money to making nothing. So,
100%.
And it happens. You see these companies get exposed for protein spiking or putting nothing in their products or the wrong ingredients. I mean, you saw it with these guys with the turkesterone that they were selling that really didn't work anyway. Turns out there's no turkesterone even in the product, you know. And so I don't know if they didn't know or they did know these guys. I'm not mentioning any names, but let's face it, it was, you know, they're exposed, and now that's going to kill their business. And so it is what it is. You know?
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Can you hear us, Greg? How's your microphone doing? Did you fix that? No, he didn't fix it. Okay. Next week we'll be back on Zoom. Hopefully your computer will be usable with that.
I hope he doesn't think that you're punishing him, Dave.
No, he how come everyone else can be heard except you, Greg?
Because we know how to switch our microphone.
Yes, you got to go to in the settings, Greg, and pick the right microphone. You don't have the right microphone selected. That's the problem. You got to pick the settings in your settings of StreamYard. Go in the settings and pick the right microphone. You're on the wrong microphone. I guarantee it.
Yep, I agree.
Guaranteed. Get your girlfriend to check the settings. I know you don't know how to do that.
Nope.
You have a good microphone. It's not even plugged in. Look, he doesn't even have it plugged in, John. You can't just talk into the computer. You got to plug it into the computer, Greg.
Greg, put it in your ear. See what happens.
Yeah.
Plug it in under your desk. I'm sure there's some kind of plug.
There's got to be something under your desk you can plug it into.
Well, I want to thank Richard for coming on and sharing all that. Of course, Carlo with the new chicken meatballs. They are phenomenal. Check them out at thechickenpound.com. Carlo's going to give us a coupon code for 20% off. We'll have it in the description below when he gives that to me later. Mr. G's proteinsnacks.com if you want to get your keto cookies, your pretzels, and protein bagels. This guy's making it all. And, you know, I wanted to talk to Mr. G about, you know, he drove out to Louisiana there to see Ricky's fight. And Ricky got disqualified because he kicked the guy low, I think twice or something like that. And they disqualified him from the fight. But I think it was a success at raising a lot of money. So that was great that they did that. Yeah. And Greg Valentino will be taking donations on his GoFundMe to get him a new microphone. It works. Richard Rodriguez will be funding Greg's new computer, a new microphone. And Greg, all you got to do is promote his new company. That's it. He pays very well. And thank you, Terry, also for coming on to talk about Robert Rothrock. He gave the funeral. I didn't write him down, but he gave the funeral. I think it's tomorrow. He said, right, John?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the funeral. If you're in Mississippi in the area, you can go stop by. It's open. He was a great bodybuilder. He will be missed, and you know we hate to see any of our Iron brothers or sisters go down. And you know, he was, even though a lot of people didn't know who he was, he beat some seriously great bodybuilders, Mark Wheeler and Paul DeMeo back in the day. So.
Pivotal.
And next week, once again, Tyler will be back from his vacation. I'm sure Jimmy the Bull will be back as well. And oh, by the way, our good friend Johnny Bravo is moving to New Jersey. Did you know that? Today.
Yeah, to a very nice house.
Anybody would do that is beyond me.
I think he's moving right up the road from me.
Oh, you know what? You should get him to do a documentary about your company, Carl.
I would love that. I'm gonna try to connect with him, Dave. If you can text us both, I'd appreciate that. Because I know where he's from. I literally live a mile from where he grew up.
Oh, really? Oh, so maybe you guys could go up to Valentino's, Greg's place, and do like a little video up there, all you guys.
Sure.
With a microphone.
With a microphone. Yeah, Johnny has good microphones, so that Greg will be fine with that. He should take Carlo and Greg to like I don't know, like a supermarket or something like that. Go shopping and see what Carlo puts in his cart versus what Greg puts in his shopping cart.
That would be
a little docudrama on that.
Yeah.
Guaranteed it'll be dramatically different, you know.
No worries.
For sure. I got my 3-year-old daughter eats 3 staple items in her diet: the chicken meatballs, steak, and salmon, and her vegetables. That's like that's what she wants for dinner every single night.
I wish my kids were my kids don't listen to anything I tell them to do. Although my daughter and my son eat sushi. They seem to like that for some reason, of course, because it's expensive. And my youngest only eats, she's like a frutivore. She only eats fruit. I don't know why. She doesn't want any protein. She just wants bananas and plums and apples and carrots and the weirdest fucking eating habits. All right, we're wrapping this thing up today. Thanks for joining us as always. And we will see you all back again